Hello again, McLaughlin Superstars. This, of course, is Mr. Curtis and the whole McLaughlin fourth grade team. Today, we're going to be learning and practicing on how to ungroup whole numbers to subtract when mixed numbers don't necessarily work. So, your targets are you're going to be able to ungroup a whole number and subtract when the numerators don't cooperate when subtracting. And we'll talk about what that means. You'll also be shown two different ways to ungroup so that you're able to subtract mixed numbers. Subtracting is a little different than adding. There's some things that we have to do. So let's talk about chocolate because I love chocolate and maybe most of you do too. And Hershey bars are great for fractions because when you open the Hershey bar, it's in a fraction form. Yeah, there's 12 twelfths. If you open up a Hershey bar, you throw away the wrapper, and there's 12 twelfths. And I also want you to look at and read this part with me. This is a great time to write the time of the video in the notes, write it down, and you can go back and refer to the examples if you get stuck when practicing. So when you get back on your own, you go, oh my gosh, I forgot how to do this, and you wrote down 2 minutes and 4 seconds in the video, you'll be in a good spot to go find what you're looking for from the video. And that's the best part of video, okay? So here we go. We have 3 and 3/12 Hershey bars, and we're going to subtract 1 and 7/12. Let's say your dad is going to take some of your candy, okay? And I know I do with my own child. So we have an interesting dilemma here because we only have 3/12, and we're going to subtract more than the pieces that we have. Now, you might want to just give away a whole Hershey bar, but I don't know about you, but I'm not giving away a whole Hershey bar unless I have to. So this is where the ungrouping comes in. Ungrouping is basically not really changing anything. It's just maybe taking the wrapper off the candy bar. And we're going to show you how. Let's go ahead and dive in. So I want you to think and write this down in your notes, okay? Write it neatly. So write the equation vertically like this and give some space on the right side. 3 and 3/12 subtract 1 and 7/12. And then over on the right side of your paper, I actually want you to think of this 3 and 3/12 as a sum of a lot of ones. So I'm going to take 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is 3, and then I have my extra 3/12. That's my extra candy, right? And then I'm going to subtract just the 1 and 7/12. So I'm going to write it just like this. And the reason we want to think of subtract, when we subtract, to think of the whole number as parts of a bunch of ones that are added together, it makes it really easy to regroup and ungroup. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take away one whole. But we're not going to really take it away. We're going to ungroup it. So we're going to trade for 12/12. So when I take off the sleeve off my candy bar, I have 12/12. So now what I can do is now I can see how many pieces. I want to have enough pieces to give my dad who's taking 7/12. And I only had 3 to begin with. So now I have 12/12 and the 3/12 I had to begin with. So what's 3/12 plus that 12/12? Yeah, it's 15/12. So now I have enough to subtract. So now I have not 3, but now what did I do? I subtracted a whole. So now I have 2 and 15/12. And I'm still going to subtract the same 1 and 7/12. Well, when I subtract 15 minus 7, that gets me a difference of 8. And then my whole numbers is 1. So my difference is 1 and 8/12. I basically regrouped or ungrouped a whole and made it plus 12/12. So really think about breaking apart the whole into 1 plus 1 plus 1, and then we're going to just cut up the whole and turn it into enough pieces so we can add them together. So I also want you to think about this. Whenever you're subtracting, you need to look, right? So when I'm subtracting, and I notice that I'm subtracting a numerator that's more than what I have, I can't I know a lot of kids are just going to want to flip, and you can't do that. You cannot do that. That is not a legal mathematical operation. So you have to regroup and then add them together. So now we get 2 and 15/12. We have enough to subtract from, right? So now that is one way in which to regroup or ungroup a whole so that you can subtract, so you have enough numerators to subtract. Now, here's another way. This one, a lot of you might use. As kids get older, they use this one more often, but we're going to actually convert them both to improper fractions and then subtract. So go down on your notebook paper. If you use up a lot of space, maybe go to the back side of the paper, write it neatly, the same equation, 3 and 3/12, subtract 1 and 7/12. So it's the same problem. We already know what the answer is going to be, but let's go ahead and look at this, okay? Remember when we convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, we multiply the whole number and the denominator. 3 times 12 is 36. And then we add the extra numerator, which is 3. And when we add across, we get 39/12. So 39/12, if you imagine taking all those candy bars and breaking them apart, you open up and each one has 12. 3 packages gets you 36 plus the extra 3 pieces of candy. Now you have 39/12. Let's do the same thing with what we're subtracting. We multiply. We're going to take one candy bar and we're going to regroup it. Multiply 1 times 12 gets us 12 pieces, plus the extra 7 we were taking away, and 12 plus 7 is 19. 19/12. Do we now have enough to subtract? Yeah, of course we do. So now when we subtract, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this now, but we have 20/12. 20/12. Now, if you wrote this answer down, that's going to be a correct answer. If you're going for a 4, let's simplify. Remember, we're going to simplify and decompose this 20/12 because the numerator is greater than that denominator. And remember, whoops, we're going to go over here. The number on top goes in the box. The number on top goes in the, let me hear it, box. Good. Now we're going to divide. 20 divided by 12. How many times can 20 go into 12 without going over? Or how many times can 12 multiply into 20, without going over? Well, if you responded with 1, that's right, because 12 times 2 is 24. And we're going to subtract, and we get a remainder of 8. So, do you remember when we did this that the quotient or the answer to the division problem is the new whole number? So it's going to be 1 Hershey bar. Do you remember what we do with the remainder? Yeah, it's extra. It becomes the numerator. It's the extra pieces. And remember that the denominator stays the same. So we got 1 and 8/12. So those are 2 ways. And again, rewind, pause, and work on those if they're not making sense, and rewatch it if you need to. And now we're going to do a little bit of practice. In your notes, go to a new spot so you have some room to work. You can choose which one you'd like to do. Which you want to ungroup? Or maybe you want to convert to improper fractions and subtract. It's up to you. Write this equation, 4 1/4 minus 2 3/4. And notice we're subtracting more than we have as a numerator. So I would like you to push pause. We're going to work on the problems on the next page. Don't forget to pause. Work on this problem. Choose at least one. You could do both. Ungroup a whole or convert to improper fractions. I'm going to wait 3 seconds and then go to my page. All right, so you probably are done. Hopefully you're finished. And so here we go. We're going to break this down and see how we can solve, okay? So we had 4 1/4, subtract 2 3/4. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert. We're going to trade. Oops. So now I have 1, 2, 3, and 5/4. I subtracted a whole, but I added 4/4. You see these 4/4? And now I have enough, because 5/4, now I can subtract these 3/4. So if I take away 3/4 from the top, I get, 1, 2/4, and 3/4. They're gone. And then I have to subtract the 2 wholes, right? 1 whole's gone, and another. So what do I get? I get 1, and then how many fourth pieces? 2. 1 and 2/4. Now, if you saw that this is a 1.5, great job. But 1 and 2/4 is the correct answer as well. Now let's go over here to if you decided to convert them to proper fractions. Okay, now in the interest of time, I did this really quickly, but 4 times 1, 16, plus 1 is 17, so I have 17/4. And then down here, I said I'm going to multiply 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. And then when I subtract down, I get 6/4. And if you wrote 6/4, great, that's the same as 1 and 2/4, but let's check it out. If we're going for a 4, we can now reconvert this back to a mixed number. Remember, the number on top goes in the box. So 4 can multiply into 6 without going over just one time, because 4 times 2 is 8. So my whole number, is 1. We're going to have 1 whole like we did up here. Now let's go back to the division. 4 times 1 is 4. We then subtract. And remember, the remainder is the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. So superstars, we went over 2 ways to convert. This is a really interesting and difficult process for most students when we're learning how to subtract, when we have to regroup. So go ahead and push pause, rewind, watch it again, do a couple problems on your own, but you're going to experience a little bit of frustration at times because fractions sometimes are frustrating. They are for me, and I'm a teacher. So we're going to go ahead and have you go to the slides and work on the few problems that we have. If you have any questions about this material, please feel free to send a message to your teachers, and we'd love to help you master this very, very difficult skill. But you know what? We're going to do it together. You guys have been great. Have a great day. Bye for now.